Yeah. What up, YouTube? Coming back at you again. Live from my house. Now, I don't know if this is happening to you guys, right? For you, those of you who are experiencing ELF and what have you, from everything from like the Aaron Alexis incident, when formerly Aaron Alexis was Don Alexis before the reality shift, we know that there are other entities in high places, as the Bible has written. Spirits, principalities, and wickedness in high places, right? This pertains to two places, as in a mirror. Outer space is a high place. And the Bible mentions chariots, and chariots are UFOs, and we've seen in the news recently that there are many UFO sightings as of recent. And where are those ELF or electromagnetic frequencies coming from would not be from the government. Not for you, someone who has very few resources, but it would be coming from space, wouldn't it? Someone from space is trying to contact you, and there are other life forms and frequencies. And the biggest danger or threat that you face, I would have to argue, amongst the different species and races, not only would be that of outer space, but those who are in the earth. Those who are in the earth will hang you out to dry, will come and kill you, right? Where those who are in space are less likely to do that because it will leave some form of evidence in many cases. Well, I don't know. If you're like me and you'll put up a fight or you'll cause some type of problem if something happens, there's a high probability that some type of evidence would be left, and we know that everybody is bat crazy for aliens, right? Here's the funny thing about aliens: they don't want it. They do not want to be seen. I don't blame them. I don't know. I'm not so sure about people, right? In your lifetime, how many issues have you had with aliens, and how many issues have you had with people? Most of your issues have been with other people, right? When you get down to these Masonic chapters and there being secrets, what type of secrets are there? We have tabloids with sex scandals and black tapes and things like that. It's nothing to find a sex tape. That's not that deep. What are these artists and musicians trying to protect? Is there something like Wolverine's claws that steeps from space into the earth and scratches the surface? The threads of finances, where do they lead to? And what do we call a chapter? Does it look like a chariot in the sky? Is Lucy in the sky with diamonds, or are those stars or UFOs that we see? Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are. How I play on this guitar with my accused schizophrenia that they diagnosed me with, but they're not professionals. And down here on earth, we see angels and angels with dirty faces. And we see demons and other creatures. And we can't discern between them because they look like us and we're quite evil ourselves. Read Genesis. I'm trapped in my house and I can't even get gas to go to the gym or even enjoy a Black and Mild. On Thanksgiving, I spent it alone. My family, I'm not really invited. I'm too open-minded. The things I say are offensive, even though I don't offend anyone. Man, that's like stepping on a landmine. Or maybe that's just something they can't talk about. People I speak to and I see their eyes and their eyes gloss over with water like a glass eye. Like them niggas in that movie Get Out, and their spirit trapped behind there trying to get out, beating at their chest like a hammer. Screeching and screaming to me, trying to get through and trying to reach me, but they just got no quarters to make that collect call, so I can't connect with them. Then they call me crazy and try to frame me or disown me. And that's what happens to these many people in society. They get sent to jail or prison and then they come out different. And also these psychiatric wards, they go in and don't come out. There's a harvest for human bodies and the flesh is on the menu. And of all the creatures and demons and fallen angels and the aliens, the scariest of them all is humans, your brethren. They take place in that too. So in those things in between, I speak on integrity and principles and attributes of character. That's what separates each of us. But for others, the only thing of value is that which is physical. Their mind is defiled with carnal things. Things that are temporal, like flesh and blood. And then there's witches in between that really think they're doing something. The difference between faith and knowledge. The difference between knowledge and wisdom is faith and technology. Which will win between the two, I don't know. But for me, it's faith. Any circumstance that I'm put in and I sit here and I sit in my house. My neighbors are around, the one on one side constantly slamming doors. They're quite emotional. I haven't figured it out. I think they're from somewhere else. And I think they're moving out. And in those things, I don't have to connect too many dots or put things together. In my isolation, my mind is like a ring around Saturn. I'm married to the Most High's church. But that keeps me in constant question, and my real estate goes up the more that comes against me, and my words comes out like a propeller and splits them in half. So they leave me alone. I speak this jazz, a black man, grew up in this world with a lot of racism. Walking through this world with a swagger like Nina Simone. No friends to call my own, but I hear them in outer space, and I think it's interesting. They're on ships, and they morph into different things. One morphs into a grizzly bear. I think that's quite interesting. And they eat the flesh and the poor from off the earth. They shut you out from jobs, and you can't get hired on. And these are the signs when they shut you off and you starve in your house, that they're coming to abduct you and eat you because they're running out of resources. That tells you that most of the people around you are clones. They harvest those two for their bones, but they really want your soul. That's some shit they can't copy. And my soul is like an old soul with a fucking railgun. And I'm calmly saying, back the fuck up off me before I blast you. And though they don't speak English, they quite understand me. And that's what's going on with you when you vibrate and your consciousness rises at a higher frequency and you ain't dumbed down by the same shit as these masses. Fast food eating contests. Niggas is a highly appropriate, and even I am quite marveled by the average glutton who could put away 6 extra value meal boxes within 20 minutes. Think about that for a second and ask yourself, is that fucking possible? The shit is right in front of you. Why are people researching conspiracy theory just to find evidence? Just turn on the news. It's obvious. Shit is so fucked up. This is like the 13th hour. Think about that movie, Dark Tower. All that shit is around us. People are asleep. I haven't even heard from my family in weeks. And I find it interesting, and I'm quite marveled. And I got a lot of energy. A machete upstairs, and I find that shit interesting. I got an alarm on my house, but I don't turn it on. They could beam themselves down with Scotty, but they just choose not to fuck with me, and I think it's quite interesting. I've been alone for a while. I am that nigga though. And I could tell aliens or demons about a fall because humans came first before demons. So they should fuck off. They think that they're strong and they say they got a lot of size and that they could do many things and their technology is great. But I think all of those things are fake. I see a lot of reliance and not anything to rely on. They're still spiritual beings, and they gotta deal with me who's quite spiritual, and I believe in Christ. So there ain't no getting next to me. Them angels in heaven be looking down. Their eyes fixed upon them. Niggas perplexed when I be saying things and they don't know what I'm talking about. Cause God don't want them to know that he's around, and I think that shit's scary. But for me, it's quite comforting. And though they act like they don't believe, when it's time to step up, then they get real smart. And they figure some shit out. Now, isn't that interesting? They're dumb enough not to know better, but smart enough not to come around. In my house, I got about 5 top ramen left. I think I have a salmon in the freezer, some smart chicken, and a small bag of cereal. I don't know how long that shit'll last me, and they're waiting for me to sign a contract, and I'm just more like a contract killer. I came to kill the contract that they flying on and put a knife through their spaceship. And something about the words in my voice, how it echoes off my bones, they know I'm not playing. You know how niggas do at picnics. Place the bones on the end of the triangle. Nobody's coming down. 322. These niggas think that they're gods. And they're hiding on spaceships, afraid to show their faces, too afraid to come down around a mass number of humans. All that technology and the things that they have, and they swore they're so great, but they're scared as fuck to come around just a regular Jake. And I think that shit's interesting, and I'm not impressed by that. And I see a lot of cowards. Not even the Nephilim comes out into the day in their natural form, and that's all I need to know. That's all I need to see to recognize fear. I'm looking at aliens that shapeshift, and I'm saying, yo, she quite all right. Let me smash the like button. I quite frankly don't give a fuck. And she like, I'm gonna shapeshift, and I'm like, you gonna do what? I'll put my balls straight up in you. Balls to the wall, and I'll smack you around and spit in your faces. I haven't had company in a long time. I'm not really scared of shit. Chunk chicks got teeth in they shit. I ain't really never said no names. I ain't said her name not once at all. Look at all the secrets I keep. And they think they're gonna fuck with me. Or I'm gonna die in this house in the suburbs. That shit just don't make sense, even to the sleep. Somebody's gonna add them numbers up. And I look at my days as they press on, and I'm looking forward to this shit. And all I want is some Black and Milds, but my family's quite controlled. Some of y'all don't understand that say y'all been targeted. Your family hasn't moved away from you. And for every situation in this earth, the first nigga is a martyr. And the other targets, I'm not convinced by the shit you talk about, cause it sounds so soft. Hope you bought a lot of toilet paper, cause the drought is coming on. This shit has taught me a lot. I ran out of my bottled water. They won't let me get none. I've been drinking out of the faucet. It's not so bad. Wondering why did I really start paying for it, but it doesn't taste as good as the store-bought shit. So in perception, in this perception matrix, as you review reality, know that reality can shift. The other mass shooter, Stephen Marlowe, shot up some shit in Ohio. He was picked up in Kansas. And that's pretty close. He has the same height and the same weight as me. Only difference is he's a white dude. I'm a black dude, so I know I can't own a gun. So if you see a black dude who's a mass shooter, then you know it wasn't me. Anything that connects with Saint No One, and I guarantee God will leave a crumb in some shape or form that shit connected to me. You'll be able to put it together that something funny went down. I said what I said, and think about this. I started to think it was a dream. I'm talking about shit pertaining to black people being the real Hebrews. And I said that shit out loud. I didn't whisper like the rest of them. Not one assassin came around. I don't care if it's the Pope, the white one or the black one. The black one has me kind of laughing because I can't tell the difference. They sent out a dove, and like I said, it was eaten by a crow, so you know that God ain't with them. And there ain't no peace, and they got some shit called a papabola. Some declaration to keep niggas enslaved, to put them asleep or put them in FEMA. I ain't got no shit to lose. This life I live is like a life I never had, and this is where you end up after lots of work and 2 degrees. You can't get a part-time job. Somebody is out there screaming, please, like the mass, like I'ma get on my knees and beg them for some fucked up shit. That's what people do, and they do it not because they get what they want, but they do it out of fear. Then they get treated even worse. It would have been better if they stood up. They're gonna treat you just as bad. Michael Jackson told us first, they don't really give a fuck about us. Then they killed him in his house, I think. There's a lot of people just standing in. There's a lot of insecurities. The people that follow you around are not the people that you think. These are not from Earth. My goofy ass don't know. It's just that now I can sense energy, but some of them I'll be looking like, yo, what's up? Let me hit this. Let me smash the like button. That's all I really think. I'm looking at myself, I'm talking to God, and I'm saying, my God, please forgive me. I don't know if I'm a monster or not. I'm really kite deprived. Humility says a lot of things that'll save a nigga. Pride can do nothing. Confidence isn't confidence. Confidence is humility. Go ahead and telling yourself, but let there be a reason so that you're not promoting your shame. So, anyways, that's just kind of how I feel. Everyone is pretty much against me. You perceive things differently if your consciousness, or what people call the frequency, is at a higher rate. The higher your frequency, the higher the frequency or the continuum of your consciousness, you'll be able to perceive things that regular people are not able to perceive. It's no different than that Dragon Ball Z shit. Some niggas get into chakras and all of that shit. I just say the Holy Spirit. When you grow spiritually, you're able to see things that others are not able to see. Okay? That's all it boils down to. Life pretty much sucks. It really does. It was a huge waste of time. I don't know why I really had to be here. And I'm most just disappointed because it's a waste of time. If I just didn't have that temperament where I just struggle to let an individual take my life from me, I would just go ahead and let them do it. I really would. But I don't know. I just get cranky. I just feel like, well, fuck. Why do you get to take it? Why can't I take yours? I've been through a lot of shit. I haven't been laid. I haven't had any outlet. You're gonna get chimpanzee. I haven't had an outlet. So, peace and blessings be with you all. Stop talking about just targeting, because people are spiritually dead. They don't see shit. They're gonna think you're crazy. They're gonna call you schizophrenic. Don't worry about that. I'll say it right here. All right? I am allegedly a schizophrenic. It doesn't matter, because those who accuse you are going to label you, and everybody's going to go with that narrative anyways, just like the 6 o'clock news. Right? Niggas don't even have to be a doctor. You just put on a lab coat, be like, oh yeah, that dude's schizophrenic. That's all it takes. People do not think. Alright? People are without thought anymore. Don't talk to them too much, because anything you say and do will be used against you. It will be used to incriminate your ass. Alright? So I say that with love. Peace and blessings be with you all. I'm out. Yo, what up, YouTube? What up? Back at it again. Basically, it seems my hypothesis is damn near correct. Most of the people around me that I see in this world seems to be androids, or at least connected by some type of chip to some UFO or something like that. They all kind of behave the same. Back in the 90s, we had kind of more of an organic flow of things. People had different personalities and what have you. And ever since like COVID came, people have become, I guess you could say, super conscious or super woke, but it's very plastic. It's very fake. It's not in the sense like where people are actually conscious or actually aware of anything. It's more like they're spoon-fed data bits of information to sound like a faux sense of consciousness, fake, kind of phony. So that's what I'm seeing predominantly. And as far as like the targeted individual community and what have you, if you're a targeted individual and you're a real one, they will set up a bunch of proxies around you, and I'll just call them proxy for now. People in the human form, okay, and they have organic flesh and everything like that. But what has happened is, you will remember that Barack Obama came out and apologized for the Brain Initiative. And what happened was when they started spraying like the chemtrails and they were talking about 5G and people were getting more gelins, there was lots of complaints, and it was very segregated, like in terms of like the news. Like you wouldn't see everybody's postings in different places. You know, I will say this. There was a time when they were talking about they were going to kind of triage the internet in terms of things that people favor in the news. How do I explain this? When I go to Google and I type in something in the search, let's say I type in cars, the first 10 to 20 things that pull up as far as websites would be different than if my neighbor typed in cars in Google, based upon websites, preferences, and what have you. So everybody's internet was kind of tailored and different. Then you have these internet service providers, and think of all the people in the world, and you think that these central hubs with maybe 100 to 500 employees is controlling or data mining all of that information, regulating the internet, as well as the FBI being able to regulate the internet and, you know, track down whether somebody is committing a crime or doing something illegal online or not? You gotta be shitting yourself, all right? So these things are regulated by AI, and the AI systems, and really your AI, your Wi-Fi and all that stuff, your Wi-Fi grid, I would have to assume is controlled by UFOs. I mean, even when Google is down, like in terms of like YouTube, you know, they'll have like the UFO and it'll say, you know, like, it'll give you an error message, like they have to fix something. I think that shit is really real. I think that UFOs are completely AI, just like in the Jordan Peele movie, if hypothetically we have them. But the interesting thing is like, that would tell you a lot about space, wouldn't it? It would tell you a lot about what you would consider to be so-called aliens and things of this nature. It would tell you that these things are fake. You know, it would tell you that aliens, in terms of outer space, while there are UFOs and what have you, is more of a network. Okay, it's more of a network of holographics and data mining information of the Earth. I mean, that is really what it's for. And that's what when you look at the stars, they're not really stars. They're, you know what I'm saying? They are chariots. They're UFOs. And they call them chariots in the Bible. Okay? And the star is kind of like the data center. I talked about this before. It's like the zeros and ones of this matrix that we create. And they move according to how things, you know, operate in the earth. That's why you have astrologists and people always following the stars for signs and what have you. So, in terms of Skynet, or your information grid, that is going to be in outer space. It is even written in Daniel chapter 2 verse 43. I forget how the verse exactly goes. I used to have it memorized, and it says, I don't know, there's something as I saw as, I'm paraphrasing, they shall not cleave to one another, just as iron is not mixed with miry clay. Okay? So your aliens, if you hypothetically have them, they're going to be kind of like synthetic humans, clones, and the beings that's going to be operating them are going to be vibrating at a higher frequency, and they're going to be running off of a brain chip, like you may have seen in the Hobson music video back in the days. Okay? Donald Marshall also talks about this, although some things I speculate, like the whole Vril thing. I don't know if there's little lizard people. I don't know if I really see that as being fact. I don't think that's real. As far as Dracos and what have you, deep underground military bases and what have you, I don't believe that to be real either. I believe that those situations are more for, they're in a different vibratory range. In other words, the reason why they're secret layers and things like that, they're at a different vibratory range, where if you were to go and try to go underground, or find a place where you're going to go a mile underground under the earth to some deep underground military base, you're going to come up short, because you're going to have to at least vibrate at a fourth dimensional frequency in order to be able to access that point. So when you watch Stranger Things, you're going to have to be able to vibrate at a higher frequency to be able to do that. Back in the days, I think it was the late 90s, you hear Oprah Winfrey and many celebrities say, evolve or die. Basically, what that connotated with is you vibrate at a frequency, your spirit body vibrates at a frequency, at a certain frequency. And we just say frequency in terms of the ebbs and flows of the wave pattern of your brain waves. Okay, let's just say that hypothetically. And if your wave patterns vibrate at a higher frequency, then I guess your spirit body, or your spirit structure, your consciousness, and your spirit body is going to be able to perceive reality at a different way. When you generally look at film and what have you, it is shot at 60 frames per second. But if you were to see film shot in slow motion, like if you take a Red camera or one of those slow motion cameras, they're shooting frames at like 1,000,000 frames per second. All right, that would be a much higher frequency. Now you could see things a lot clearer in slow motion than you can at regular speed. 60 frames, 60 FPS. You will not see as many things as you will be able to see at 1,000,000 frames per second. All right, which the more frames that you have per second is going to slow down the footage, because when you look at a motion picture is basically showing you a series of still images very quickly, one after the other. All right, and that gives you the animation effect, or the video effect, the effect that your eye is perceiving actual video, when really you are looking at a series of photographs. Okay, so if you look at 60 photographs per second of somebody walking, so let's say zero, let's just say 0 Mississippi, 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi. Let's say that's somebody's walking, right? And you've seen 120 frames within those 2 seconds, 120 photographs. That's gonna look like the person walking, you know what I'm saying? And they're gonna look like they're walking in slow motion. Now, if you only see 60 frames versus 120 frames, then you're gonna see less photographs than you would see with the 60 frames per second. And if you don't know what understand what I'm talking about, before I get on a tangent, you might just want to look this up. All right, just look up what makes a slow motion camera different. Look that up in Google. All right, and understand that simple fact of how that operates. Most of us understand what I'm talking about when we connotate. When we connotate like bullet time and shit like that, right? So when everybody seen The Matrix, right? When that nigga Keanu Reeves, they were shooting that nigga started like leaning back, and all these bullets were coming to like fucking split that nigga apart like 1,000,000 different ways, right? But he was like able to perceive the bullet traveling through time at a slower rate, because the frequency at which he was resonating in that reality was greater than that reality was able to keep up with. So he was able to maneuver around those bullets. Okay, so that's what was going on there. And it showed it in slow motion, right? Because if it showed it at full speed, you wouldn't be able to see anything. That's what it was insinuating. Or when you see them niggas in Dragon Ball Z fight, right? You just see like little sparks and shit go over here and go over there, because you can't actually see what they're doing because they're moving so quickly, right? But if you were able to slow it down, you will see them, making a series of motions, even though you might not be able to make it out. In order to slow that down, you would need to be able to see more photographs per second in order to slow that footage down. So if you get up to 1,000,000 photographs, 1,000,000 frames per second, if your mind is able to capture through your eye and perceive that at that rate, then you might be able to see them fighting at normal speed. You might be able to see each move and block and kick and punch. You know what I'm saying? So when you start when you start perceiving reality at that rate, okay, then you will be able to, find hypothetically, maybe a secret doorway or something like that, that you wouldn't typically see. Because the truth is like everything really is in plain sight. Nothing is really hidden from you. It's just a matter of how you perceive reality, okay? For those of you niggas that is targeted, you are targeted, but the issue is like this. You are targeted because you're caught in between frequencies. That's really what's going on, nigga. There's a regular frequency that you exist on, and then there's a higher frequency. So you being used to the regular frequency that you perceive reality, all right, that frequency, you're no longer riding on that common line that the rest of society is riding on. So you're perceiving more things than the typical environment around you, and you're hearing things in a different reality, okay? It's kind of like if a seed was planted into the earth and then that fucking plant starts to sprout out that seed, right? First you're buried underground. You don't know nothing. Everybody around you, they don't know nothing about what's going on the surface, right? But then as the leaves start to shoot up and sprout, all right, and you start to get closer to the surface, you might start to be able to hear footsteps or paw prints when dogs like walk past that area where you were planted, and you're like, yo, I think I'm hearing things. Niggas might give you some medicine, say you schizophrenic if you talk about it too much. People will call you crazy, right? But what you're perceiving, you really are perceiving. It's just that you are perceiving reality at a different rate, okay, than everybody else. When you break ground, then you say, oh, I see, okay, now I can see what's going on here. I hear the footsteps around me and I see where it's coming from also, because your head is above ground, okay? That is what's going on with your targeting. So you guys talking about like UFOs and shit like that, you know what I'm saying? Like most of the time, people that are just kind of like sleep, who are vibrating at a regular frequency, they might not have reached that spot, in terms of their development or their growth, to be able to perceive the same things that you perceive, okay? Don't call them stupid or anything like that, because you didn't perceive that shit either. And you know what I'm saying? I was an idiot for most of my life. I'm still one, right? What can I say? I'm a growing student. And I'm not trying to call y'all idiots, but I'm just saying, like, you know what I'm saying? How I would wish to be is I would wish to always, to some aperture, be a fool enough to understand humility, to know that there's always something that I need to learn, or a different way that I need to grow, because once you start capping on people, then you start realizing, like, you know what I'm saying? You start getting complacent, and that's where you will stay. You know what I'm saying? If you a fucking shrub, right? Let's say you plant a seed and you're a shrub, right? And you grow to full size, then you're a shrub. You're going to perceive and view life at that angle. And your perception and your nuance and your keenness to that reality is going to be on point. It's going to be particular. It's specific, like an instrument. A horn does not sound like a guitar, right? But like if you grow up to be the size of like a sycamore tree or a fucking cedar tree or some type of redwood, you're going to shoot up way in the sky. Okay, now, are you going to be able to perceive more or less than a shrub? You're going to be able to perceive a lot more, a much wider range than a shrub. But at the same time, that shrub, don't get it twisted. That shrub, when it gets down to specifics and details, is an expert at that frequency at seeing what it sees. You can't see things like that shrub can see, and that shrub can't see shit like that redwood can see, right? So it's a matter of perception. It's a matter of understanding reality. And that's the matrix that you live in, which is confined to your mind and your own growth rate, which is relative, which is equative to Albert Einstein's E equals MC squared. It's going to be relative to the frequency rate of your consciousness. Okay, so that's basically like what it is. And y'all niggas be careful. There's like there's other beings here and shit, but like Let other people grow in their own pace. Like, don't bust them out, because people are very scary and shit. And there are some people here that look like you, that are very young-minded for one reason or another. So that's just how it is. Let them grow in their own time, in their own season. The Bible talks about that, right? It's okay with showing people some things here and there, but a lot of the things that you're seeing and perceiving, if it's jarring for you, it's gonna be jarring for somebody else. You don't wanna rattle them. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna go to a baby and show him a shark, right? I'm not gonna do that, right? That's not gonna make any sense. I'm not gonna take a baby and throw him in the deep end of the pool and be like, yo, what's up? You got arms and legs. How come you didn't swim? That wouldn't make any sense, right? So you gotta allow everybody their due time. And that's just a learning curve, because we see new shit, we get excited, we like, fuck, man, that shit is crazy, fuck. I never knew that shit was like that, right? And when you never knew something, be more aesthetic in the fact that you learn something. But when you connect with people, connect with somebody that is of a common mind, that will be able to either conversate with you on that so that you may grow and expand, or somebody that is able to appreciate that same information and knowledge that you have. Because people who are generally walking around day to day, they're coming psychologically from the hip at, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, the new Jordans is coming out next week. And yo, that shit is fresh, that's cool and everything. But like, yo, your mind is bugged. You like, yo, are you kidding me? Like, yo, you have any idea, like, this and that and this is going on? You sound like paranoid. You sound schizophrenic. You sound crazy as fuck, right? They're not gonna know what you're talking about. They're not gonna be able to grasp it as much, because you may have been looking at that shit, you know what I'm saying, for a while, like maybe a week or something, and they might not have ever heard of that in their life, and you coming out of left field off of them telling you how their day went, and you saying, yo, I think I seen an android, like a real walking android. They gonna look at you crazy saying shit like that, hypothetically. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying that there's androids, you know what I'm saying? I'm just saying, sometimes the iPhone is better than the fucking Android at certain features, and sometimes the Android is better than the iPhone at certain features. So that's basically all I had to say about that shit. You know what I'm saying? I just want to buy a fucking a Black and Mild cigar. I hope everybody had a great turducken day, right? That's what the coach of the Chiefs said. Okay, when he got on, we got on TV. That means Turkey Day. Turducken means turkey for Thanksgiving. I thought that shit was cool. I never heard of that shit before. See, and now if I say that to you, if I say Happy Turducken, I might not even be using that shit right? But if I say some shit like that, you might look at me and be like, yo, what the fuck are you what the fuck is a turducken? What are you talking about? Right? You're not gonna know what I'm talking about, right? But my mind has been exposed to new stimuli that you have never heard or experienced before. You know what I'm saying? So that might jar you. That might put you out of left field. You might be like, all right, bruh. You know what I'm saying? So I have to be able to explain where I'm coming from with that, and then if hypothetically you don't understand where I'm coming with that, not force that information on you or push the subject at all, you know, just leave it at that and keep it moving. All right, so that's what I would say with you guys in terms of everything. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Honestly, I'm gonna just leave it at that. You know what I'm saying? It's not too much I could really say at this point in time with having respect to others, because, and I'm not keeping these videos, you know what I'm saying? I'm not keeping these videos public. So when you see it, you see it, you know what I'm saying? Take it, go ahead and download it if you appreciate the information, or you think you may have caught something that aligned with something that you have seen. Because I'm going to take the video down. Okay, out of respect, because Because honestly, I don't understand everything I'm in. I don't understand everything that's around me personally. You know what I'm saying? It's a full-time job. It's difficult struggling with my thoughts and attention deficit disorder. You know, they say attention deficit disorder is closely linked with schizophrenia. That's what they say. You know what I'm saying? Now, I don't know if I got schizophrenia or not, but you know what I'm saying? That's what they said. Attention deficit disorder could be closely linked to that. All right? I'm not insinuating that you have mental illness. I'm talking about my personal self. All right? And my experience and my walk and growth and development and what have you. You know, these recent years since COVID has been very stressful. Okay? Amongst other things, if you have that and you're into this field of, you know, alternative news and things like that, you're going to have to realize, you know, in terms of the stressful times and the economy and things like that, you're going to have to also understand if you've seen something such as Obama apologized for the BRAIN Initiative. You know what I'm saying? The government wanting to study the living human brain in terms of science. You're going to have to, you know, you're going to have to understand that if you're struggling with your thoughts or you're going through a difficult period or phase in your life, that, you know, it could be possible that you have to sit and analyze the data, and you have to understand that it may not be, you know what I'm saying, so, you know, necessarily connected, that, you know, just because the government did that, just because there could hypothetically be nanites, you know what I'm saying, that those nanites would be affecting the way that you think, because stress is a thing and depression is a thing too, you know. You have to know yourself. You have to understand yourself well. And if you seek help, then get 2 opinions first, because the Bible says you need 2 witnesses. But with that being said, I say peace and blessings be with you all. I'm out.
Man, the cool off, eh? Man, are way too